Cassie from the Indie Game Report, and you're watching the Learn to Play video for Starving Artist from Fairway 3 Games. Today we are going to look at how to play a standard version of Starving Artist for 3 players, then we'll take a look at some variants, the junior play, and the solo version of the game. If you'd like to jump to a particular section of this Learn to Play, there are links down below to show you where you can begin each section. Let's go learn how to play the Paint by Cube game, Starving Artist. Welcome to the Starving Artists Learn to Play. The game plays on average from 40 minutes to an hour, and today we are looking at a game for 3 players, but the game can play up to 4 players, as well as solo. The story of Starving Artists is each player is an artist trying to sell enough paintings to not only earn points, but also earn enough food to prevent starvation throughout the game. Starving Artists is played in rounds, known as days, and each day has 3 phases: morning, afternoon, and night. Each day, players will take turns completing actions of their choice in the morning and afternoon to gather paint, buy unpainted canvases, and paint those unpainted canvases. At night, players will decide if they would like to sell their completed paintings for points, more paint, and food. At the beginning of each day, players will become hungrier, so time is of the essence in Starving Artists. To begin, I have the Starving Artist playmat set up in the middle of the table, which is a nice addition to the game but does not come with the game automatically. It will, however, make learning the game and playing the game much easier. The game is set up with each player receiving a player aid card and 2 matching player tokens. Each player will place one of their tokens on their player aid track to keep track of their nutrition. In the beginning of the game, no player is hungry yet, so all players place their token on the 5 plate of the hunger track on their player aid card. The other token is placed on the scoring track located on the inside cover of the box to track their points. Each player begins with 0 points, so each player's token is placed on 0. In Starving Artists, there are 2 ways to win. Be the first player to either earn the amount of points needed or complete the amount of paintings necessary for the amount of players you have. For 3 players, you play until a player either sells their 6th painting or reaches 14 points from selling paintings. In all cases, the end of the game may also be triggered when any one player starves. The player who most recently visited a museum will receive the caret, which is the first player marker. This caret is used to help keep track of which phase players are in during each day: morning, afternoon, or night. Next, a deck of cards known as canvas cards are shuffled, and 3 of them are placed out on the table in these 3 spots. Each spot represents the cost of that canvas card from 1 to 3 paint cubes. When a player purchases a canvas card, the other cards will slide down closer to the 1 spot, and new canvas cards will be flipped from the canvas stack. Canvas cards are what players will be purchasing, painting, and selling to earn themselves points, as well as food to keep themselves from starving. Each canvas card comes with requirements for certain paints to be used in order for the canvas to be considered a complete painting. For example, the Bathers requires 2 red, 2 green, 3 blue, 3 violet, and 2 black cubes. Each canvas, when sold, also comes with rewards. The selling player earns victory points located in the star on the canvas card. The canvas card also has a nutrition value, which allows players to increase their nutrition, and a paint value, which shows how much paint a player may earn when the canvas is sold. The final component to the game is the paint. 150 cubes consisting of 7 colors and 10 clear cubes are placed inside the bag so they are drawn randomly every time paint is to be drawn. Paints are multi-use. They can be used as currency to purchase the canvas cards, reset the canvases in the market, or as a paint color itself to paint on the canvases. Before the game begins, each player will draw 6 random paint cubes from the bag for their personal supply, known as their studio. They may use these paints on their turn when taking their actions. The game is now officially set up and the first day can begin. Before players officially take their turns, at the start of each day, 4 paint cubes are added to the area known as the paint market. This is a public area in which players will receive their paint when selling canvases, as well as where they will put the paint they use as currency when buying canvases. Then, on every day except for the first one, all players will lower their token on the nutrition track, signifying their players growing hungrier. Next, the first player will take the caret and place it on the day spot on their player aid. The first player can now take her first turn. There are 3 actions she may choose from on her turn. The first action is to work. To work, a player simply draws 3 random cubes from the bag and adds them to her studio. The second action she may choose from is to purchase a new canvas card. To do so, she first chooses which canvas card she would like to purchase, and then depending on which cost spot the canvas is in, she will need to choose that many cubes from her personal supply to spend. Once she has chosen which of her paints to spend, she places them in the paint market and takes the canvas card into her studio. She then slides the canvas cards closer to the one spot if needed and flips the next canvas card. The third action she can choose from is to paint her canvases she already has in her studio. When choosing the painting action, up to 4 cubes may be placed to fill the required spaces on any amount of canvases each time the painting action is chosen. In addition to the 3 actions, there are 2 free actions in which a player may take any time on her turn once per day. The first is trading paint cubes. If a player chooses, she may exchange paint in her studio with paint in the paint market. She may exchange 2 for 1, 5 for 2, or 9 for 3 once per day. The second free action she may take is to reset the canvas market. To do so, she simply pastes 2 cubes of her choice from her studio to the paint market, discards the current canvas cards, and draws 3 new ones. Once the first player has taken her morning action and any free actions she chooses, she passes turn to the next player. Once all 3 players have taken their morning action, the first player moves the caret down to indicate the next phase has started. The first player then takes her afternoon action plus any free actions and then passes turn. Once all players have taken their afternoon action, the first player moves the caret down and the nighttime phase begins. The nighttime phase is a phase in which players may sell their completed paintings if they wish. In player order, players announce their decision. Then all players choosing to sell paintings will each individually look at the paintings they are selling and will raise their nutrition levels appropriately, 1 painting at a time. If a player goes over the 5 on their plate when raising their nutrition, they will earn a bonus 4 paint cubes from the bag for each additional food. For example, if a player is at the 4 on her nutrition track and sells a painting worth 3 food, she will raise her nutrition level to 5 and will also earn 8 bonus paint cubes from the bag, 4 for each extra food she received. Once players have risen their nutrition levels appropriately, they will then return all the paint cubes from the paintings they've sold to the bag. Each player will then move their token on the scoring track appropriately for the paintings they've sold. Remember, there are 2 ways to win. One is to be the first to sell the established number of paintings, and the other is to be the first to receive the established number of victory points from selling paintings. The final reward for selling a painting is the paint cubes you are paid from the paint market. Each painting sold shows a paint value. This is the maximum number of cubes a player can take from the market, as long as there is enough paint in the paint market to satisfy the sold paintings. Players take turn performing collection actions, 1 painting at a time, starting with a player with the highest paint value painting, and ending with the lowest paint value painting, until all sold paintings have earned the maximum amount of paint cubes equal to its paint value, or the paint market is empty. If there are any paintings with the same paint value, players will take paint in player order. During collection, the highest value painting goes first, and it earns its player 4 paint cubes at a time. The player may choose any combination of paint cubes to take except for the clear wilds, which only 1 of may be taken per collection. After this player has taken her 4 cubes, the second highest valued painting will collect, which allows its player to take up to 2 paint cubes from the paint market during collection. Finally, all other paintings in descending paint value order will earn their players 1 paint cube each per collection. If a player sells more than 1 painting during the nighttime phase, the player will treat each painting separately during collection. Players continue taking turns taking paint this way until all sold paintings have received their maximum amount of paint cubes from the paint market, or the paint market is empty. After that, the day ends. The caret is passed clockwise to the next player, who will begin a new day. Let's watch 2 full days play through and see how different actions will look when taken. Let's pretend this first day is the first round of the game. So to start, we draw 4 paints for the paint market, and because it is the very first day of the game, nobody gets hungry this day. Our first player over here, which has the apple token, decides that she's going to work. She draws 3 cubes from the paint bag. This player has now finished her morning action, so she passes turn. It is now the player with the pineapple token's turn. She is also going to choose to work. So she draws 3 paint cubes from the paint bag. She's finished with her morning action, so it's now this player's turn. The player with the grape token decides they want to buy this first painting. Because this painting is in the 1 spot, it costs 1 paint cube. This player chooses to take this red cube and sell it to the paint market, so they may buy this canvas. These 2 now slide down, and a new one is placed face up. All players have now done their morning action. It goes back to the first player who moves the carrot down to signify they are now in the afternoon. Before she takes her afternoon action, the first player decides she wants to use one of the free actions and wants to trade. She chooses to trade 2 violet cubes in for 1 green one. Now for her afternoon action, she is going to purchase a canvas from the canvas market. She is also going to spend 1 red cube to buy the canvas in the 1 slot. Again, the canvas is moved down, and a new canvas is flipped face up. Now it's time for our next player's turn. This player was going to purchase that canvas that was in the 1 spot, but because someone else decided to purchase it, she's going to use the free action of resetting the canvas to get 3 new paintings out here. She chooses to spend 2 orange cubes, puts them in the paint market, and resets the canvases. Now for her action in the afternoon, she decides she's going to work. She draws 3 paint cubes from the bag. It is now Grape Token's turn. Grape Token decides she doesn't have the right paints to paint her canvas, so she is also going to work, hopefully drawing the right paints from the bag. Ooh, that's a good draw. Transparent cubes are wilds and can be used as any paint on any canvas. Now that all 3 players have taken their morning action and their afternoon action, we enter the nighttime phase. The first player will move the carrot down to show we're in nighttime. At this point, if any players had enough paint on their paintings from using the paint action, they could choose to sell their paintings. Unfortunately, no one is ready yet in the first round, so we're going to play one more round and see how that looks. Now that the nighttime phase is over, we go ahead and pass the carrot onto the next player, who is going to be the first player for this new day. Before the first player can take her first action, everybody grows hungrier. Each player is going to move their food token down on their food track. Next, we add 4 paint cubes to the paint market. The first player can now begin her turn. For her morning action, she's going to choose to buy this canvas in the 2 slot. She picks her 2 cubes and gives them to the paint market, and she takes her canvas card. Canvases slide down, a new one comes out. She now passes turn. This player is going to choose to paint. They can take up to 4 cubes and put them on their canvas, and this player has 4 cubes they can use, so they're going to do so. She's done her action, so she now passes turn. This player is going to choose to paint her painting as well. This player has finished her action, so we're now back to our start player, who's going to move the carrot down to show we are now in the afternoon. This player now takes her afternoon action, choosing to paint as well. We now go to our grape token player, who's going to choose to work. She draws 3 paint cubes from the paint bag. And now we go to the last player for the afternoon, the player with our red apple token, who's going to choose to work as well. All players have done their morning and afternoon actions, so we now enter the nighttime phase. The first player is going to move the carrot down. Now that we are in the nighttime phase, if any players wanted to sell their paintings, they would go around one at a time, starting with the first player announcing that they were going to do so. At this point in the game, we don't have anybody ready to sell their paintings, but let's go ahead and take a look at how that might go down if we did. So surprisingly, each player was able to paint a painting and everybody is ready to sell to the market at the same time. First, each player would raise their nutrition level by the nutrition value of the painting that they sold. Remember, if any player gets over 5, they get to take 4 paint cubes from the paint bag for every additional food they would receive. Next, players will take the paint off of their canvases and return them to the paint bag. Next, all players would look at the star value of the painting that they sold and would move their token around the track accordingly. And finally, the players would get to get their paint cubes. Starting with the player that has the painting with the highest paint value, which is the Starry Night here, this player gets to take 4 cubes to start with to try to get a max of 15. They choose them from the paint market, so let's say they take these 4 here. Next would be the composition, which has a paint value of 12, and they would get to take 2 cubes. They choose 2 green ones. And finally, this Van Gogh painting would get to take 1 cube from the paint market. They choose to take this last green one. We're now back to our Starry Night. This player again gets to choose 4 cubes from the paint market. They choose to take the yellow and all of the remaining oranges. Next we go to the composition again, which gets to take 2 cubes, and because there's only red, they choose to take 2 red cubes. And we're back at the Cafe Terrace, which chooses 1 cube, and again there's only red, so they choose 1 red cube. We're now back to the Starry Night, which would normally choose to take 4 cubes, but because we only have 1 red cube left in the market, they take that 1, and that would be the end of the selling phase because there's no more paint in the market. Once the paintings are sold, we would start a new day. The game will end when either a player reaches the predetermined victory point amount, the predetermined amount of sold paintings, or if a player starves, 1 more day would occur. In this circumstance, the player with the highest victory point score would win. There are 3 official optional rules to Starving Artists. They are not necessary, but may make the game more interesting or fun for some. The first is called Color Study. Instead of their trade action, a player may choose to color study and place 4 paint cubes of the same color from her studio to the paint market, and then take a cube of her choice, not random, from the paint bag. The second optional rule allows a player to offer up a trade to the table instead of a free trade to the market. The first player to accept the trade is who the active player must trade with. One final optional rule is called Last Supper. If a player is at 1 nutrition on her turn, she may discard a completed painting of hers and increase her nutrition by the painting's star value. That painting won't count towards the end of the game victory conditions though. Starving Artists also comes with rules for a junior player version. Most of the game plays the same, however some changes are made. First, the game begins with 1 cube of each color in the paint market except for the wild cubes. The second change is the position of the canvases in the canvas market become irrelevant, and all canvases would only cost 1 paint cube to purchase. Finally, instead of drawing paint from the paint market, players will instead draw paint from the paint bag during the selling phase. The paint market is instead used only for trading, and no more than 4 of any color can be present in the paint market, and any extras would be returned to the paint bag. There's also a solo version of Starving Artists. In the solo version, you're trying to both accumulate the most victory points from selling paintings and also not starve. The canvas deck has only 35 cards, and the game will play until the deck runs out or the player would starve. There's only one other change to the game, and that is at the end of each day, the canvas in the one slot of the canvas market is discarded from the game, and all paint cubes in the paint market that match the discarded canvas are returned to the paint bag. The canvas cards would then slide down, and a new one would come into play. Depending on how many victory points you have in the end of the game will determine how well you did. If you only got 10 victory points or less, you might want to keep trying. But if you got 25 or more points, you are a professional artist. And that, friends, was the Learn to Play for Starving Artists. Thanks for watching the Learn to Play video of Starving Artists from Fairway 3 Games on the Indie Game Report. If you would like to learn more about how you can have a Learn to Play video made for your game, visit our website at theindygamereport.com. I'm Cassie signing out with the Learn to Play video of Starving Artists from Fairway 3 Games.